It's Games for the Galaxy. Hello and welcome to Games for the Galaxy. I'm RossTweetsGames and I love video games. Each episode I'll be bringing on a special guest and dropping the absolute bombshell to them that aliens exist. They're going to have to answer a series of questions all about the games that hold a special place in their hearts to help convince our galactic friends that video games are bloody brilliant. Don't forget to follow me on Blue Sky at ross.tweets.games and Twitter at RossTweetsGames. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please leave a comment and a 5-star review. It really helps get more ears listening. Today's special guest is the Gamersician. Now, if you don't know him, it's quite simple. He's a gamer and he is a musician. And he makes incredible YouTube content. I really hope you'll go and check his YouTube channel out after listening because his content is genuinely brilliant. But enough from me. Let's meet him and start episode 6 of Games for the Galaxy. Hi and welcome to Games for the Galaxy. I'm your host RossTweetsGames and today I am joined by a wonderful YouTuber, gamer and musician. It's of course the Gamersician.
Yeah, hey. What's up, Ross?
I not a lot. I'm just here chatting with the Gamersician.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Dude, I'm so happy to be here. I really appreciate you reaching out for this, man. This is a really cool podcast and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the thing is, with Games for the Galaxy, I'm going to tell you this now, I like to get the best of the best. And you are part of that elite crew, yeah.
Damn, that is quite the title, man. I appreciate that.
It's quite the title, yeah. I'm allowed to say it. I mean, I'm not the best of the best. The guests are. I'm just going to make that clear. Yeah. So, Gamersician, for anyone that doesn't know you, give us a short little overview of yourself and your content.
Absolutely, man. So you hit it right on the head. It is gamer plus musician. I've seen many people struggle. Like, is it the Gamersian, the Gamersician? I'm like, no, it's the gamer musician. So I previously in a different life, I was a rapper and a producer for a very long time. Played shows, toured, released 3-4 albums. I had a record label. So music has always been a part of me, and music production is something that I've always loved. Like most things, they play their course out a little bit. And when I decided that I wanted to get back into a creative endeavor, I instead figured I would take my talents to YouTube and use the skills that I already had in music production and combine it with my very first love, which was playing video games. So that is where the idea for the Gamersician was born. And it's been a lot of fun. I have been on YouTube now for about 3 years. I do mostly retrospective type content, but I look at myself more as a personality channel. So I have a tendency to cover a lot of different topics and games, from the very old to the brand new. Music content. I just like to make things that I enjoy. And so far it's resonated pretty well with a solid audience, just trying to continue to grow and do the thing that I love, which is creating music and gaming content.
Amazing. So just touching on what you said there. So when it comes to choosing the YouTube videos that you make, you don't have like a set rule of, I'm going to cover just these types of games. It is really just things that you're passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely. I find that I have a tendency to be a guy that likes to do a lot of different things. So the idea of niching down, as they like to say in the YouTube space, really didn't appeal to me. I instead look at kind of having a format and formats that I go back to a lot, but I can then slot in a bunch of different games. So I have my most popular format is called Nostalgia, where I play old games that I missed, and then I kind of review them from a modern perspective, what it's like to play them for the first time in whatever year it is. So for a great example was I played Kingdom Hearts for it back in like 2023, and that's still my most viewed video. Those Kingdom Hearts fans, man, they are fervorous, and I had like 100 subscribers when I put that video out, and I didn't expect anything from it, and they just flooded me, man. They loved it, and I didn't have the high, so I had high praise for that game, but I didn't have the highest praise. They respected how I did it, and I realized that I can talk about really anything and make it kind of interesting. So at that point, I just leaned into, hey, let's go with what you love, and I think that shines through in my videos.
Absolutely. I think it definitely does. I watched the Kingdom Hearts videos and they are great. Anyone listening, please go check them out because they are amazing.
Thank you.
So, yeah, we sort of touched on it. So, gamer and musician, and you sort of talked a little bit about the musician side, but I feel like we should delve into that a little bit more. So you said you were a rapper and a producer. So tell me a little bit more about that part of your history.
Yeah, man. So, like most of us, when I was a teenager, I was trying to figure out a way to creatively express myself. Like as a lifelong gamer, when I started, I was probably about 6 years old. I really loved drawing and things like that. So I drew a lot of characters, like we all did tracing first off, then you kind of move on to like actually trying to freehand stuff. And I was a decent drawer and a decent artist, but I kind of hit my, not a limit, but kind of my interest limit with that when I was kind of in my early teen years. So I have a musical family more broadly. A lot of my family play instruments and are in bands and stuff like that. So I decided to take kind of my very high interest in hip hop music and soul music and jazz and all that, and try my hand at rapping. So when I was about 16, 17, I started to rap, and I was originally using kind of the industry music that was already out there. So I'm rapping over known beats and stuff like that. And then you realize very quickly that music production, especially back then when there weren't like the SoundClouds and stuff like that to just go find beats very cheaply, like that stuff cost a lot of money. So I decided, let's go ahead and learn how to produce music myself. So when I was about 17, I started in Fruity Loops. That was before it was FL Studio. I had a cracked version of Fruity Loops that I learned how to produce in. And as I got further along, I was realizing, hey, I'm getting pretty good at this. So I ended up meeting up with another really great producer and an engineer. And we started to create my first album that came out in 2010 called Absolute. And since then, I had formed a record label. Like I said, toured. I released numerous EPs and albums and helped produce for quite a few artists throughout the years, both local and regional, I would say. And I loved music. I met a lot of great people through rapping and production, and it really set me up with a lot of very valuable skills for YouTube as well. So that was sort of like the starting of the musician side, and then you formed that with the gamer side that you said you've loved since 6, and then you made this YouTube channel. So was that a difficult decision, or is it one that was like, yeah, no, this makes sense? Yeah, that's a great question. Man, music was such a part of my life for so long. I started in probably 2013, and I put out my 2003. Geez, time flies, right? I started in like 2003, and I released my last solo album in 2016. And from about 2016 to through the pandemic, I would still make music and stuff, but I was kind of just trickling songs out here and there, not really with a whole lot of vision for it. And with the pandemic and everything that happened in 2022, I said, hey, let's shift my ideas for music to also incorporate my love of gaming. You know, ever since I had the Sega Genesis, or Sega Mega Drive, as y'all like to call it,
Yeah.
I have been a huge gaming fan, and I've played pretty much everything under the sun since then. So it just seemed like a natural combination to make. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I'm glad that you did that, because it has led you here. The Gamersician, I have another question. I have not prepared you for this, so we might have to cut it if you're not comfortable answering it. But do you believe that aliens exist?
Okay, now listen up, Ross.
Okay,
I have some very, very deep and interesting insights into the extraterrestrials.
Let's get into it.
I'm actually lying. I don't really have very many interesting stories, but listen, I love aliens. I love all alien related content. And I do, in fact, believe that extraterrestrials already walk among us.
You think they're on the planet already? Interesting.
Yeah, those snake people, man. I'm telling you.
It's them.
They're living underground right underneath us right now.
Yeah. Interesting. What do you think? So you think they look like snakes?
I think they're like serpent people that can
people, right?
Yeah, hide what they are.
Okay, so you think that they can look like humans, but then they go underground and then they like sort of like undress.
I played XCOM. Yeah, I played XCOM UFO Defense. That formed the basis for pretty much my entire vibes with anything alien. Yeah.
So what do you think they're doing here? What do you think they're doing underground? Are they trying to take over, or?
Yeah, I just think a lot of them are biding their time. You know, they're kind of watching us and are like, man, these humans are really messing up. This is about our opportunity to emerge and lead them. Yeah. You know?
No,
I think they're waiting.
Do you know what? Who am I to say that is a bad theory? I don't know. But I do know, because I know that aliens are real. Oh. And not only are they real, but they have abducted you. How do you feel?
I thought I felt a little queasy then.
That would have been
it was like
beam.
this.
Yeah.
It was that weird feeling,
like in your stomach,
right in the gut. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but they've sort of like zipped you up, and you're now sat in their UFO.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I hope they're nice.
Well, should I tell you why you have been abducted?
I would love to know.
So these aliens that have taken you, they are just like us, and they're really nice as well. They're friendly, so you have nothing to worry about. Good. So these aliens, they're just like us, but they don't know what video games are. They've never heard of them. They've never played them. They don't know what they are. Last time that they were visiting, because they do like to pop into Earth from time to time, they noticed that some people were talking about them. They noticed some kids on Nintendo Switches, and they were like, what are these? So they decided that they were going to find out about video games by abducting someone that has a real passion for them, and they have chosen you, the Gamersician.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, exactly. Sense. They went, oh, who's that guy that does music and he's a gamer? Let's get him. They've abducted you, and they want to ask you a series of questions all about the games that mean the most to you, so that they can learn about video games. And the first question that they want to know is, what is the first game you remember playing?
Oh, man. So actually, I do have a story about this.
Let's go.
So the very first game that I remember playing, I was about 5 years old, and it was Friday the 13th on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you, why that is memorable, because I didn't actually want to play it. I was visiting my grandparents in Florida, and they had a sitter for us who was, I don't know, probably about 13, 14 at the time. And he was playing it, and he loved to mess with my brother and I. So he'd have us sit down and watch him play video games. And he popped in Friday the 13th, and he handed me the controller when he chose the black counselor named Paul, which, despite my title, my name is Paul. So
okay.
I was playing the kid Paul in Friday the 13th. And of course, I didn't know what I was doing. So I got killed immediately. And also, Paul has the worst jump stat in the entire game. Can you explain that to me? Why would they give him the worst jump stat? Do they not understand? But anyway, needless to say, I'm actually surprised that I'm still a gamer after that experience, because it was low-key traumatizing. I will say. Imagine. I was like, oh no, Paul's dead and Jason killed him. Am I gonna die? And I was just like 4 or 5, I think, at the time. It was, so
that's insane. Because I mean, most people that I talk to, they have a really nice game as their first one. They have Sonic the Hedgehog. They have Final Fantasy X. You got Friday the 13th. That doesn't seem fair. I've not, to be honest with you, I've not played Friday the 13th.
You're not actually missing much.
I didn't even know there was one. So what did you do in the game? Was it just surviving?
Yeah, so it was like, it's actually kind of a notorious game in a lot of ways. It kind of has I don't want to say it's like a cult classic by any means, but it has this weird contingency of people that think it's not nearly as bad as they thought at the time. So essentially you ran side scroller because it was 1990, and you had these various counselors that were trying to survive the night with Jason. And largely it was side scrollers. There were zombies that attacked you. There were crows, all types of weird elements that have nothing to do with Friday the 13th. But you would have to go find keys and things like that. And when you would go inside these houses, sometimes Jason was in there, and you had to deal with him by like a Punch Out style, like over the shoulder game. So he would swing his machete at you, and like you'd have to sway left and right and try to avoid it. And he would get harder each time you beat him. So you would just keep having, higher and higher stakes when you would accidentally run into him. And you had like 6 or 7 counselors, and if they all died, it was game over. It's a really tough game. Yeah. And of course I died immediately because I didn't know what I was doing, and I was 4. So there you go.
Yeah. Did that experience put you off the franchise? Have you watched the film since? Or do you just have bad memories?
So you would think after that I would never, want to play games or watch anything scary again. He also had us watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space in that same time period, and I was terrified of that. But for some reason, I love horror. I really do.
Interesting.
I watch a lot of Friday the 13th movies. I watch a lot of modern horror, a lot of classic horror. So I just
maybe it started it. Maybe you have something to be thankful for. Yeah.
Absolutely. He actually set me down the path.
Yeah. That's interesting. Have you gone back and played it since? Have you ever touched
I have played it briefly, like probably about 10 years ago. Yeah. And it's not great. But,
it's not good.
But I have watched a lot of YouTube videos on Friday the 13th, the game, because it's just it's weird, man. Like, you have to look it up. It's
I think
very bizarre. Yeah.
The only one that I've played is the asymmetrical multiplayer
that's a great game.
Yeah, that is a good game. Yeah,
that's fun.
That would have been, that's actually been a great first game. Amazing. What game made you cry the most? Do you cry at games a lot?
I actually do. I was sitting there thinking about what I would, how I might answer this question, and honestly, I almost said Tetris Effect, because I don't know if you've played that game, but it is like a sensory, like, this isn't your dad's Tetris, man. Yeah. It's like the music, the visuals, and how everything flows together is absolutely incredible. The very last song just hit me, man. Like, you're playing and it's dropping faster and faster, and you're clearing all these lines, and there's this huge crescendo bro, I just got chills just even talking about it.
Yeah. Did you play this one in VR? Because it's a VR game as well, isn't it? But you can play it flat, but yeah.
I played it standard, and I'm actually afraid to play it in VR because I have had friends that are like, dude, this game will actually change your life in VR. So, yeah, I'm a little nervous to do that, but the first one, just standard, it's still incredible. But while that definitely had me shed a couple tears, the game that I actually want to talk about is Spiritfarer. And I feel like someone else has brought this up.
Yes, it's been mentioned before, and I've bought it because of that person. It was Macy. She mentioned it.
Macy,
I've not played it yet.
Shout out to Macy. Yeah.
So tell me more about Spiritfarer. Why did this get the tears going?
So, man, listen. Just the basic concept is you are this character that is helping out these animals. We'll say they are sentient animals that speak and all that. And you are trying to help them with their problems. And ultimately, it's in the title, so it's not a spoiler. You are trying to ferry their spirits across to the afterlife. They're all very interesting and very intriguing stories, but there's one character that really reminded me of my great grandmother who raised me, who passed away in 2013. And this particular character, you can see her slide with dementia and like how it's affecting her as she gets closer to the end of her quest line. And when you take her across, like she barely even recognizes you. And it was dude, it was, man, it was rough. And like when I put it together, how much she reminded me of my great grandmother who passed, and same stature, same like real sweet style of speaking, and was just like a really nice character. But as you see her kind of lose her ability cognitively, and it's just really sad, and it's like really powerful. The developer of Spiritfarer actually said that he made this game to cope with the loss, I think, of his mom or dad. Right. So the whole concept of the game is to kind of help people cope with loss and to stop seeing it as just the end. And of course, the ending, the second I hear the music from the ending, I about want to cry again, because the way it wraps up for the main character is also super powerful. But yeah, dude, play Spiritfarer and have a tissue box nearby, because I promise you, if you have a heart, at some point you will cry, probably multiple times. So
amazing. I mean, I've got it downloaded. It's ready to go. Yeah. Oh God, that sounds like it's going to be one that, as you say, tissue box ready. Yeah.
It's rough, but it's also like funny. It's really kind about how it talks about death, and you can tell that this guy wanted to almost make like one of those children's books, right? That's like, here's how you cope with your grandma passing, or here's how you cope with being bullied or whatever. And it's kind of like they like almost make it fun and less scary by how he presented it. It really felt like it was almost him coping with his loss too, through how he made the game. And you feel that. And it was really, really a powerful game because of that.
Amazing. Video games are awesome, aren't they?
Dude, like, anybody that tells you that gaming is not art, or that it doesn't have the same value as great film or great books or whatever, they're just wrong. And I just don't even listen to that argument anymore. It's like, bro, it's not 1996 anymore. Like, games have transcended.
What is a game you didn't think you'd like, but you ended up loving it?
Dude, I have it. So this one I actually have a very easy answer for. And I feel like I've championed this game on a few occasions. So when I first started my channel, I had this series I did called PlayStation Plus or Minus. And I took the PlayStation Plus games of the month and I played them all for an hour. And I told you, if you should add or leave this game out of your library. It was a fun idea, and I might revisit it one day.
I love that idea. Such a good idea.
Yeah. Hey, man, thanks.
Yeah.
So on I think the April 2022 episode of PlayStation Plus or Minus, there were 3 games. It was like FIFA 21, which I'm just not like minus. It was the SpongeBob platformer, which I know a lot of people younger than me love, but like playing it now, I just didn't like it all that much.
I was the same.
That was also,
for me.
yeah. It was like, nah. But the third game was a roguelike deck builder called Slay the Spire.
Oh, Slay the Spire.
Dude,
interesting.
Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire. And like, as a kid, I didn't really like card games. I didn't play Pokemon. I didn't like collect mini cards. The most I play is like War or like Euchre, maybe, for card games. Now, I did love Triple Triad in Final Fantasy VIII, because who doesn't?
Great minigame. Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Exactly.
But outside of like that, I didn't really play cards growing up. And so I had very little interest in this game when I first booted it up. But I now have like 400 or 500 hours in this game. It is my like nightly, I just play a round or two, and I have probably 150 hours on my Switch. I have probably, 170 hours on my PlayStation, and I have a few hours on PC. Yeah. And it's just like my chill downtime game that I just play almost all the time, like probably once a day or once every other day. And it's just so fun. And I still am finding new combinations of cards and relics and items and all that stuff. I just beat the final boss for only the second time out of like 400 hours. So it's just one of those games that you can play forever. And it is probably my ultimate comfort game of like all time now. I love Slay the Spire.
For anyone that's not heard of Slay the Spire, just explain it a little bit more in terms of what you do, because as you said, you've just got to the final boss. It's a game that it requires you to beat it multiple times, doesn't it? I've not played too much of it, so forgive me, but explain a little bit more about it.
So you have 4 characters, and they all have a different starting deck. They all have slightly different health, and they all come with different starting relics. You have multiple floors. So as you go through these floors, they're all randomized. So you'll have a fight with an enemy, or you'll have a question mark room, which can be multiple things. There are save spots. There are places to buy items. And you pretty much just continue to build your deck and move up through the floors. And each floor has a boss. And at that point, once you've beaten all the bosses for the run, the game is over. But if you collect these 3 pieces throughout your run, you have a chance to fight the true boss, which is a giant beating heart. And it is a really tough battle. And you have to really have a good setup to even attempt it. I know pretty early on in a run, usually if I should even attempt to get like the items to move past, because those are hard to get too. And you can just continue playing with all 4 characters. There are these, once you beat it, you can add a modifier and they stack. So I think there are 20 modifiers, and I'm only on like modifier 7 with my highest character.
Okay.
So, and each modifier, like I said, it stacks. It'll do things like normal enemies are harder, bosses get harder, you take more damage, like it stacks these up, and it just makes it more and more difficult. And yeah, it's such a fun game. I recommend it to anyone that's never played a roguelike, a card game. It's just so addictive. Yeah. It's a really, really fun game, especially once you kind of get into the flow of it. And Thank you, PlayStation Plus or minus. Yeah.
And that was a plus. Is it like a
Yeah,
normal
that was 100% a plus.
roguelike where you, once you've done a run, do you get permanent upgrades or do you always start at the same point?
So you always start with the same point with each character. They have their set cards, but what can change is additional relics that you can find will open up, and they can really change how you play. And it's really about finding the path and the synergy that works, based on what you get relic wise and card wise, and then trying to blend the two to make something that really synergizes. And that's so fun. And I continue to find new combinations that I'm like, oh man, I would have never thought of that, but I just got these two together and it's like destroying this boss. Yeah, it's just melting people. So
this is why I love roguelites, because it's the learning part of it.
Yeah,
I always
100%.
think on paper, I'm like, I can't be bothered to replay the same game over and over again. But when you start going and you go, no, hang on, I can do this. And then you're like, yeah, I'm back in. I'm going to give it another run. Yeah, it's a great genre.
For me, it's Slay the Spire and it's Hades. Hades is just one of my all-time favorite games. Yeah, I got so addicted to that for months, and I would just play run after run after run. Love a good roguelike, because the best roguelikes, they do exactly what you just said, and that is to make it feel like each game, despite you playing, quote, the same game, it never feels like you're playing the same game, and you're learning skills that translate throughout all runs, regardless of if the actual items move through.
Absolutely. Yeah. Brilliant genre. I love it.
Yeah.
What game is terrible, but you love it anyway? So it might be critically panned or other people don't like it, but you're like, nope, this game is good.
Yeah. So this particular game that I'm thinking of, it's really had a shift in the last probably 10 years or so. And more people like it. But when it came out, it got just absolutely slammed by players, especially. I think critically it was decently received, but Resident Evil 5, man, that game, I will die on that hill. If you have a friend to play that game with, like, Resident Evil 5 is one of the best cooperative experiences that I've ever had. Like, I have never played it solo, so I can't speak on that. I've seen people have terrible situations with Sheva just not knowing how to use a gun, I guess. But when you play with somebody that knows what they're doing and you guys can go through it together the whole way through, I have so many fond memories of that game. The Mercenaries was incredible with friends. Like, I would just play that and we would just beat every mercenary level we could and try all these combinations of characters and weapons. Dude, it seems like it's gotten more love over the years since, but I remember, because I was there, I was there when it dropped, like, just how it wasn't really received very well by fans, because it's tough following Resident Evil 4, Absolutely. I mean, no game would have ever really lived up to the ideal of that game, but I think Resident Evil 5, in hindsight, really paved its own way in a really cool and unique kind of cooperative space. It was really fun.
Yeah, I think it is a game that is like designed to be played co-op. Like, I think 100%. Playing it single player is a shame. It's funny because the first time I ever played Resident Evil 5, my parents got me. Do you remember PlayStation Move? Do you remember that?
Vaguely, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got that for Christmas, and my mum went to the local game shop and was like, "What's the best game for the PlayStation Move?" And they said Resident Evil 5. So, and I'd never played a Resident Evil before, so this is my first experience with the franchise, and it nearly stopped me from playing all of them altogether.
It turned you off entirely, yeah.
Because I thought I had to play it with the PlayStation Move controller, which didn't work very well at all. I think I got like through the first bit, and I was just like, this is not good. Single player and with motion
single
controls.
Player with PlayStation Moves. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have played it since. I played it co-op, and it's so good. I really enjoyed it.
So good, dude.
Yeah, it's like one of the
So
best
good.
co-op games. It's so much fun. It's hilarious. It's great. It's
Yeah, when you stop expecting it to be, you know, scary or like be really anything other than a really enjoyable, super fun, action heavy kind of survival horror game that was meant to be campy and all that. Like once the zeitgeist's expectations of a follow up to Resident Evil 4 kind of faded away, I think more people were like, oh hell yeah, this game is sick.
Yeah. I like the DLC as well. That was good as well. The whole package.
Great stuff.
Yeah. No, that's a great answer. What a game. What game scared you the most? Do you get scared at games a lot?
So, as we talked about with Friday the 13th very early on, I would definitely not say that's the scariest game I've ever played. But for me, a great scary game is one that A, kind of catches you off guard, and B, makes you feel fear in a way that you wouldn't expect. So for me, this game came out when I was, I don't know, about 15 or 16. And I was in that age, you know, that's the age where you're like, I'm a badass. Nothing scares me. Nothing can shake me. Nothing can rattle me. I've seen it all. I've watched rated R movies now. Nothing, you know, what can get me? Well, I can tell you the game that got me. It was Dead Space, the first Dead Space.
Yeah.
You know, so I grew up playing Resident Evil games. I got into horror games pretty early on, and you wouldn't expect that after the initial experience I had with them. But I loved horror games. I played Resident Evil 1, 2, 3. You know, I was a huge fan. And then Dead Space came out, and at that point, I fought so many zombies and had shot heads off of everything and all that. And you fire up Dead Space and you think, okay, that's just a zombie with sharp arms. Okay, that's easy. And so the first thing you do is you shoot his head, because that's what you think you would do in a game like this. And its head comes off, and then it gets faster and more sporadic. And you're like,
what do I do? What do I do?
Whoa, what do I do? Then the sign that's like, cut their limbs off. You're like, oh, I have to shoot. So it subverted the zombie expectations so beautifully. And the first few times I fought a necromorph, I was so shook up. They would crawl on the walls. They'd come out of the vents just randomly. I mean, dude, that shit had me shook. Absolutely shook. I'll never forget playing that game in the dark, like just completely dark, windows closed, and just, dude, I almost couldn't do it.
Have you
almost couldn't do it.
Have you played the remake yet? Have you gone and done that?
So I have.
That's good.
I have started the remake. I haven't finished it. I actually hope to cover it on the channel at some point. I have this idea to do kind of like a dueling video where I play the original and the remake, and I kind of like weigh them. But I haven't done that yet. But the new game, from what I've played, seems just as scary. But like I said, there's something about not having the expectation that once you know what you have to do, it's a little less scary. It can still feel scary, but nothing will top those first few interactions before I knew what to do and like how to deal with this. You know, it was just like, whew.
I never thought about that before. Like you said about the zombies, it's not shoot the head, it's shoot the limbs. I never clocked that, but it is, as you say, it subverts expectations, and that's scary.
Super scary. And I would say a good second place for scary games, I would say like Bloodborne. I know that's not necessarily a horror game, but there are creatures and parts of that game that had me just kind of like, I gotta walk away for a second. Like
Yeah.
this body horror is too much, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. Great answers. Now, what game means the most to you? So it doesn't have to be your favorite game, but the memories
Right.
around playing it make it really special.
Yeah. Whew. I have quite a few that I could pull from for sure. But for me, I think really the formative college years is what I look at for a very special time for me when I was playing a lot of games with friends and stuff. You have that window where everyone's old enough to have their own money,
Yeah.
but no one's old enough to like have a lot of responsibilities, and it usually lines up with college, and it certainly did for me. So the homies and I played a lot of fighting games, and since then I don't really get time to play fighting games because I don't have time to get really good at them anymore.
That's the problem with them, yeah,
for sure. But that era was Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. I played so much Third Strike. I used to play in tournaments. I used to really be into Third Strike. Yeah. And I think it just was a favorite. It means a lot to me because I have those memories of just hanging out at a friend's house or their dorm room, and just everybody piles in.
I love that.
Like
feeling,
you didn't have much, you know. You're all just kind of like standing around in a corner. There aren't enough seats,
taking it in turns. Yeah,
and like everyone's talking shit as one person loses or wins. It was just like this hype, you know. Just everyone is watching the TV and they're all a part of it, and it just felt like a very special like moment in time that when I look back, there's not much specific about specific games that I miss because I'm big on like playing games and enjoying them. And then if you still want to play the old version, play that. If you like remakes, play those. Like I'm all for just consuming games as you feel makes sense for your point in life. But I do miss just that camaraderie and the smack talk and all that stuff. It was so fun. It was just like such a great time.
Did you guys have a system? Was it like winner stays on, or did you have like tournament brackets?
Yeah. So it was always winner stays on the sticks. Just so like you could really build up the shit talking, like, oh, we're all the way back around to you, huh? Like it was just like a whole like psychology of it. Like one of y'all got to get me off these sticks, because I would have these runs, you know, like I would just have a run where it was just you were winning over and over again. Would
you say you were the best then out of your college friends, or was there someone?
No.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's always someone better.
There's always someone
better.
Someone.
So on a side note, I am a lifelong martial artist. So I like to do quite a few things in my spare time. But one of the things that you learn is there's always someone better. And I was not always the best, but I had my moments where I was just on fire, and you're in your zone with a specific character or a certain matchup, you know, and you're just winning. I was just winning.
It's a great feeling. Now, I don't know a lot about Street Fighter, but just for anyone that does know a lot, is there a certain character that you want to give a shout out to that you're like, that's mine?
So I'm a big Dudley fan. I was always a big Dudley guy, but with fighting games, I liked to have like a stable of characters that I would play. I know some folks like will just have one or two, but I played probably 5 or 6. But I would say Dudley and Elena were my 2 favorites. And honestly, fuck anybody that plays Chun-Li or Yun, because those are scrub characters, and I'll hear nothing else of it.
Amazing. Cool. I'm sure they're happy to hear that.
Yeah, tell them.
Yeah.
I hope you're listening. You're listening.
Listen to
Chun
this
players. Hear me.
Now, the Gamersician. What video game character do you have a crush on? We're into the juicy stuff.
Oh, here we go. So, you know, this one is a bit of low hanging fruit. But
Okay.
when I talk about formative years,
Yeah.
this character popped up into my life when I was 11, when I was just becoming a young man. And, you know, she just like jumped off the screen at me. Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Has to be Tifa. Like those like FMV moments, I would be like playing like
hello.
Hello. That's a woman right there. But I mean, like, we all love Tifa. She's super well known now. She's like one of the kind of pillars of women in video games at this point. But back in that time, like, I just hadn't played a whole lot of video games that had strong females in it, because yes, she is obviously a well-endowed, good-looking female, but what I also loved about her was just how down she was for Cloud. She was like taking care of him, and I just feel like she was a really like cool chick too. It was like you saw her, like, we've all seen these women in real life where you're just like, wow, you're beautiful. Then you talk to them and they're cool. You're like, oh my God, how is this possible? You're like super cool too. And that was Tifa. She just seemed like a hometown sweetheart too, as well as being a absolute baddie. So
yeah. What game have you replayed the most?
So this one's kind of cheating, I guess, but I'm gonna say Slay the Spire again, because at this point, man, I could literally tell you the runs, like if I went and I added them all up, since it keeps track of like all your wins and losses. But with me playing it basically at least once a day, once every other day for the past 3.5 years, I can't imagine it's anything but that, just from a pure numbers perspective. But if we're gonna cut that out, like just raw hours just from the game that I've played the most, I would actually say it's probably Monster Hunter Freedom Unite on the PlayStation Portable. I had close to 700 hours in that game, which I tend to not really focus on one game for a super long time. But back then, I still played a lot of games over and over. And so I would probably say that. Maybe something like Castlevania Symphony of the Night. That's a game that I replay probably once a year still.
Okay, so you got sort of like three different games there for different reasons. Like Slay the Spire, as you say, you play it nearly daily. Then Monster Hunter, you've got the most hours in, and then Castlevania is one that you go back to every year. Yeah, that's good. I like the different reasonings and stuff, because as you say, replaying doesn't always mean that you just do it from start to
play
finish.
it all the way through, start it over.
We've sort of talked about Slay the Spire, so tell me a little bit more about Monster Hunter. Is this because the portable version? I don't have experience with the Monster Hunter series, but am I right in thinking it was still a multiplayer experience? That Monster Hunter?
Yeah, dude, it was LAN style, man. I used to actually go over to my friend's house, and him and I would sit in the same room with our PlayStation Portables out and just like play it together, just run through multiple monsters and all that. And so it really depends on, I guess, what replay counts, because I have fought certain monsters in that game, you know, probably 100+ times. And I guess technically each time you fight it, that's replaying that fight. So it comes down, I guess, to what the criteria is. But listen, so Monster Hunter, the fun thing about Monster Hunter, and the reason that I've actually had trouble getting into them now is just like, now that I'm older, it's hard for me to like commit so much time to get something so little. Like you fight this creature that can take you 20, 30 minutes, and then you get 3 dragon scales, 3 pelts, 3 this, 2 this, then you have to do that 3 or 4 times to get that armor that you're looking for, and hope that you get the right parts, and you have to break parts on its body to get like the horn, for instance, or the tail or whatever. And you have to do this many times often for especially the higher rank weapons and armor. And that kind of gameplay loop when I was younger was a lot of fun. I loved just hanging out with friends, and once again, he would just kind of talk shit, have some food, hang out. So there's almost like a secondary thing to the fact that we're all getting together. And now with playing stuff like that online, I still enjoy it. It is still fun, and it's still like an enjoyable way to get together, but I just don't have as much time to do it consistently. So it's harder to get further. And you like see all your friends pass you. They have higher level weapons and gear, and you're just kind of like
you're playing catch up, and you're like, I can't be bothered. I feel that. Yeah, absolutely. And then Castlevania, that was one you said.
Symphony of the Night. Man.
Yeah, every year.
Yeah, it's a stone cold classic, man. It's just like one of those games that really changed my whole outlook on gaming. Like 97 through probably 2000 were like, I just got so many games that have stuck with me. And I think, so I actually put out a video about exactly this, and about how like nostalgia and like these snapshots in time kind of form our opinion, like overall on games versus like how it might actually be to an outsider. And I just think because I was in that age group, that like 11 to 15 age, where everything is new and interesting and unique, like that's kind of the time period that I have a lot of my all-time favorite games from. And Symphony of the Night was just like a revelation because I didn't play Metroid as a kid because my Super Nintendo got stolen as a kid. That's a fun story. So I didn't play Super Metroid or anything like that. So my first experience with the Metroidvania subgenre was with Symphony of the Night.
Amazing. Great answers. Great answers. So we don't like to be too negative on this podcast, but we do have to ask it. And that is, what is the worst video game you've ever played?
Oh, man. So I was very fortunate as a kid to have the Sega channel. My mom worked for Warner Cable at the time. And so I got to not only have the Sega channel, but I beta tested it. And that's still one of my claims to fame with friends and stuff. I'm like, have you ever even seen a Sega channel? Because I had it in my house for years.
No, I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Anyway. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys had it, but what it was like a giant cartridge that had a cable line that literally went into your wall, and it fed you new games every month. You were streaming games back in like 95.
What?
Insane, dude. Like new games, it would literally download the game to this giant cart, and you would play it off of that. It was like a ROM flash, I guess, of a bunch of games, and each month these games would change. And so I've probably played every Sega Genesis game there ever has been, at least briefly, because of that. But along with the Sega channel, so of course it had all the classics. It had the Phantasy Stars, it had the Sonic the Hedgehogs, it had all the well-known games.
Yeah, all the good ones.
Yeah, all the good ones. But it also would sometimes release games that were never actually released in America, like Pulseman, Golden Axe 3, which was never released stateside. But then one game, I don't even know if this was released outside of its native country of Brazil, because I did a little research. This game is called Nightmare Circus. Okay. And I feel like you probably have no idea what it is.
I have no idea.
Quite a few. Yeah. And probably quite a few listeners are like confused. What the hell is Nightmare Circus?
Yeah. Tell us.
So this game was made in Brazil It was a late generation Genesis game. And it's one of, like, I can't even explain this game to you. It's a side scroller and you play like a Native American character and you're in a nightmare circus. Like, it's a circus themed, it's a beat 'em up, like a side scrolling beat 'em up adventure. It's like one of those old like Spider-Man games kind of.
Yeah.
And it's so obtuse. You never know where to go. There's no like story hardly at all. I mean, once you're dropped in the game, it's just you walking around. It's pretty much an unfinished game that was released late in the Genesis life and then never made it outside of Brazil, but it for some reason was on the Sega channel. And I have had this weird fascination with this game ever since. I will watch YouTube videos on it. I'll, look stuff up about like Let's Plays and stuff for it. It stuck with me in this really weird way. It's not good.
It's not good.
It's not a good game.
But it's like a
fascinating. Yeah, it's a fascinating example of like this could not happen in 2025.
Yeah.
How could you release a game on a major system this way and it just be like some random game that probably 50 people have played? It's like it's terrible.
Now, what is objectively the best video game ever? So again, it might not be your personal favorite game, but one that is clearly a video game great.
Damn. So this one I have a lot of options for because, like I said, my Super Nintendo was stolen when I was a kid, and
I feel like I have to ask about this story. You mentioned it twice now. Like, what happened? Who stole this from you?
So it was one summer night. My consoles sat like up on a countertop, or on top of a cabinet was near a window of mine. So I had my Sega Genesis, I had my SNES, and my theory is that we had the screen open and someone cut it and they took the console off of the cabinet. And I think it's this dude named Blake that was in my neighborhood because he showed up with a Super Nintendo shortly thereafter. And I have blamed him ever since. I have no proof.
Yeah, but
like it's kind of a running joke on my channel. Like I always say, fuck Blake, and like everyone knows kind of what that means now.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about
Blake, if you're
Super
listening,
Nintendo.
If you're listening to this podcast, Blake, fuck you.
Listen up, Blake. I hate you, and I better never see you again. I wouldn't even recognize this guy anymore. But if you ever tell me that you're Blake and you're from my hometown, we're fighting on spot.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
So anyway, I once my Super Nintendo was gone, I did not own a Nintendo console until the Switch. So I have gone from, so I missed the N64, the GameCube, the Wii U, and all of their handheld consoles. So basically I am like Nintendo, like just have huge blind spots. And of course there's a lot of Nintendo games that make that natural top 10 list.
Absolutely.
So I could pick things like, oh my God, I'm going to get flamed for all these games that I haven't played, but like Ocarina of Time. I could pick, Mario 64. I've never played Mario 64. I could pick, there's dozens of them. Probably hundreds of them, honestly. But objectively, if I had to talk about just what I believe gaming distilled down to its most basic and just the essence of video games, while I, of course, cried to Tetris Effect, I believe that objectively, when I look at it, that Tetris is probably the greatest video game ever made. It's just one of those games that has transcended time and space. Everyone knows Tetris. It's just as fun today as it was, 40 something years ago when it was made. kind of set the precedent for that whole subgenre of games. But not only that, it's still one of the highest selling games of all time. Yeah. And I just feel like Tetris is the purest, most perfected version of a video game that we've ever had.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, I think anyone and everybody knows what Tetris is, and they can pick up and play it. It doesn't require you to it doesn't require you to be a gamer. You can just play Tetris. And because you are a musician, we have to talk about the music, because that soundtrack,
oh dude,
it's incredible.
The first Tetris, it's just one of those. There are certain songs in gaming that the second you hear the first couple notes, you know exactly where you are and what you're playing. It's like Green Hill Zone. It's like the first level in Mario. There are so many examples of those games that have music that the second you hear doot, it's like doot 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 doot. Like we just know. And Tetris is right in the mix. So it's it has the music, it has the iconic look, it has iconic gameplay that's super easy to pick up. It has it has everything that a great video game should have, and it's so distilled down to just the essence of a video game.
Absolutely.
That I feel like outside of maybe Super Mario Brothers or something that is also very kind of like gaming standard, I just don't think there is a better video game, and I don't know if there ever will be, based on my personal criteria of what would constitute the best game ever.
Amazing. No, it's an incredible answer. I love it. Now, the Gamersician, you have been an incredible guest.
Oh, man.
But before we put you back onto Earth, the aliens want you to give them one video game. Now, this video game they're going to take back to their home planet, and they're going to share it around, and everyone's going to play it, and it'll be their first taste of what a video game is. What video game are you going to give them?
All right. Now, listen, I know you said that these aliens are nice.
Yeah.
But look, I've seen Alien. I've seen all types of films where they come down and I don't trust them. All right. So So my game is going to send them a message.
Okay.
It's going to send them a message. I'm sending them home with Independence Day, the PlayStation 1 shooter.
Amazing.
Because I want them to know
we're prepared.
That if they get out of line, like, they're friendly today, but we have Will Smith. All right. We'll send in Jeff Goldblum. We'll send whoever we need to deal with this. He and like 90s Will Smith, he was not a guy to be trifled with. Let's be very clear. So don't mess up, aliens. Like I like you and I respect that you've been very kind, that you've treated me very well this whole time, that no probes were brought out, that all of that has been above board, and you've been great for that. But I still just can't fully buy into this. I haven't known them long enough. So
that's fair.
Independence Day's their game that they're going home with. But if I wanted to be nice, I'd probably send them home with my GOAT game of all time. That was redundant. Suikoden 2. Okay. I want them to know what it's like to play the best role-playing game that's ever been made. And I will stand on that. And I will be standing on that because I just shot a hour-long video all about Suikoden 2 that I have to edit at some point, as long as these aliens send me back in one piece and I don't end up getting like spaghettied on the way back down, you know?
Well, whenever you're listening to this, go check out the Gamersician's YouTube channel, and you might be able to see his video on that.
Hopefully.
I don't think you have one on Independence Day, the movie video game, do you?
I have not, and I don't know if I'll cover that. I remember my brother and I rented it from Blockbuster because we loved the movie. That game is terrible. It is terrible.
So not only is it a warning, it's a bad game that you've given them.
Yes, exactly. I want them to fear us. They have to fear us. And if they think we're capable of making something so abominable, they might be like, okay, these humans are capable of anything. So
so that'll be their first taste of video games. But yours was Friday the 13th, so you know.
Yeah,
you never know what their journey
they'll end up
be.
bouncing back anyway. Yeah.
Absolutely. Amazing. Right, we're going to get you back down to earth. But thank you so much for joining. You have been an incredible guest.
Dude, it's been a pleasure, Ross. Thank you for having me. I am just really excited to be a part of this incredible podcast. Great format, great guy, great having the opportunity to meet you. And if you ever want to play the role reversal, I'd be happy to take you on the trip next time.
It might be something that will have to happen in the future.
Yeah.
No, thank you again. Let's get you back down to earth.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
So that was episode 6 of Games for the Galaxy. Big thanks to the Gamersician. Please go and check out his YouTube channel and give him a follow on Blue Sky. You'll be able to find all the links in the episode information. Thanks again to you for listening. It's been truly amazing hearing your feedback, and every like, share and comment really means a lot to me, so thank you. But that's all for this week. Just one more thing to say. Games. Goodbye.